Alright, so while the game between Sporting KC versus the Vancouver Whitecaps is at halftime, I'm going to quickly do the review between the Union versus the Redbulls, and also, if you can't tell already, judging by the fact I'm doing the review of this game at halftime between Sporting KC and the Vancouver Whitecaps, this game went to extra time. And in some way, this game kind of played out what I expected, where it was a game where there wasn't a whole ton of chances. I mean, there was definitely some decent amount of half chances, but weren't one really you would say that, both goalkeeper kind of had to be busy. In fact, there was actually only one shot on goal throughout the entire first 90 minutes of the game, but it kind of seems like as the game goes on, this is when both teams started to show that urgency of potentially getting a goal, and ultimately the Union was the one that able to get the goal. Literally, probably one of the latest goal that they have ever scored, and probably one of the latest goal we have ever seen an MLS team score. And it kind of came from an unlikely but also likely source right at the end of this game. But first of all, for the Union, no Jameer Montero and Bizo for the Union in this game. I'm not quite sure why exactly. I'm guessing they probably were not fit to play in this game, so they weren't available and wasn't even in the 18. While both Kilimala and Clark started on the bench for the Red Bulls. Both of them, of course, came off the bench. Although in the case of Caden Clark, he actually came off the bench and then was substituted out. And yeah, for Caden Clark, this was definitely not one of his best game, and certainly not really the one that I think his future team, RB Leipzig, is going to look at it and have a lot of hope for in this game, because I thought there was times where it almost kind of felt like he just want to get out of there. He just want to move on to Brenner pasture, and it seems like that is going to be the case after his team is eliminated in the playoffs. No Twitter commentator for this game, and I immediately wrote yes with all caps and an exclamation mark, because I was really concerned coming into this game. I mean, I know this was on the league website, but I was worried that they're going to do something similar to what they did on Twitter, which is bring those Twitter commentators along, and I'm just pretty much going to have to either bear the commentary that some of those Twitter commentators use, or just straight out muted. But instead, it was actually the British commentators that basically commentate this one. I think this is the one that, I remember listening to these commentators when I was kind of like watching a knockoff stream, so I guess that's probably the case. But there was no doubt that they were 100% said, or 100 times better than the Twitter commentator that I had. I mean, honestly, any commentating will be better than the Twitter commentator that we had. So again, I'm so glad that the Twitter commentator was not commentating in this game. Now, in the first half, I thought the Red Bulls was actually coming out on the front foot early, and the Union, I thought for the first 5 minutes at least, they were having trouble in terms of dealing with the Red Bulls press. I mean, the Red Bulls were doing a really good job pinning the Union back. Cornell would deny Powell in the 7th minute, and little did we know that not only the fact that was the Union's first real attack and first real chance of the game, but that turns out to be the first shot on goal, or the only shot on goal, until when we get to the 94th minute of this game. And after I thought they were under siege a little bit, the Union, I thought they started to kind of try to press for the opener. There's been some good half chances for both of these teams in the first 20 minutes, but there was only one shot on goal, and that kind of is going to be the case, at least until the latter part of this game. Aronson then fired it high on the half volley from 12 yards out. Oh, by the way, replacing both Montero and Bizo was Paxton Aronson and Alvis Paul, and I thought both of these players play well in this game. Both teams, I also kind of wrote, seem to just kind of lack that killer final third ball. But again, it's a part to do with the fact that both defense was really up to their game, and they were not allowing a lot of space for either of these attack kind of play that killer final third. Or I think it's also, you can say that, if you want to be very kind of negative toward your attack, you can also say that both attack seems to be kind of lacking, and they just were not up to the standards in this game. And then right as the end of the first half, the stream died for 10 seconds. And when the stream died right as we were heading into stoppage time of the first half, I thought, oh great, here we go. This is going to be like Twitter all over again, where it's going to die and it's not going to come back until the second half. Now, fortunately, it did came back 10 seconds later, but after a minute, it basically was halftime and the referee blows it. So I guess maybe in some way, as much as I was worried the fact that the stream was gonna die and that MLS was just going to just let it die and try to fix it at halftime before getting it back on in the second half. Again, there was really not much that happened in the latter minutes or even in that 10-second when the stream basically died, and we had to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. Now in the second half, not much happening early in the second half, though the physical play was definitely ramping up. I mean, I mentioned it in the preview. This was going to be a very physical game, and we definitely saw times where there was definitely some really bad challenge that we've seen. There was just kind of almost like a rivalry kind of feel and kind of a playoff kind of feel in this game where both of these teams do not like each other. I mean, there wasn't as much of pushing, shoving as I see. I mean, there was at times maybe a little bit of scrap, but there was no doubt that those challenges that we see in this game, yeah, they were kind of like a derby kind of atmosphere where both of these teams were not letting go with some of the challenges, some of those sliding tackle that they go through on their opponent. In the 54th minute, Wagner did tag a long-range effort that goes wide before Aronson pulls it wide after there was a shout for a PK from the Union faithful before this, but it was not given. The Union no doubt was started to press for the opener. Then on the other end, there was a shout for a handball from the Redbulls player that also wasn't given in the 63rd minute. And I also wrote 70 minutes in, still only one shot on goal for both of these teams, and the shots was actually tied at 6 apiece for both of these teams. So again, despite the fact that there has been some half chances for both of these teams, none of them has really tested the goalkeeper, and we still didn't have a shot up to that point. Besides that 7-minute shot that Alvis Powell put that Cornell had to make a save. Flock then tried to stab it in from a very tight angle, but unsurprisingly, it went wide. Then Shabilko, I mean, he absolutely should have scored this. Like this, Kasper Shabilko, I know this season, he of course had the 12 goals this season. You would think that that's pretty good for a number like his stature, but from what I hear from Union fans, they've been very frustrated with how Shabilko has been, even with the goals that he's scored. In this game, I think they definitely ramp up their frustration because this was not a great game whatsoever from Shabilko, and this miss kind of just sums up his afternoon where he was literally 6 yards out there. And if you're a number 9 like Kasper Schmeichel, that at times I've seen him able to put those one away, he's got to put that one away. But instead, he skies that one high from 6 yards out. Though as the time winds down, the Union, they definitely was pressing and looked to try to finish this game in regular time, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be. So we go to extra times, and in extra time, early on at least, I thought maybe the Union carried that momentum that they had in the latter part of the second half. But then in the 93rd minute, Klimala puts it wide from 14 yards out before Blake had to deny Klimala after he was going through on goal. Now, originally, I thought maybe there was going to be an offside flag that was going to raise as soon as Andre Blake saved that shot, but the flag never came up. So if that one would have went in, and if it wasn't for Blake making a great one-on-one save, the Red Bulls could have got a 1-0 lead. Though, again, I think they'll probably go check at VAR to see whether or not if that was onside or not. And I also couldn't really tell because they didn't really show a replay of that. But either way, I also kind of wrote, despite the fact that the Union was still dominating the possession and looked like they were trying to control this game in extra time, they were looking very vulnerable, especially with those through balls, where I think this was really the first time the Red Bulls can actually play those through balls through this Union back line, which has been really solid up to that point. But then in the 106th minute and just the first minute of the second half, Cornell absolutely robbed Santos from point blank range. I mean, Santos, he's lucky his team would end up winning this game, because if his team did not end up winning this game, he'll be joining Shabilko in terms of thinking, how in the world did they not put away their chance? But you got to give credit to Carlos Cornell, who I know he's one of the finalists for a goalkeeper of the year, and he's definitely making a case here. I mean, this is a really difficult say to make, especially when an attacker able to hit it from point blank range, but Cornell with an absolute robbery there, and I thought he was probably going to steal this game for the Red Bulls, and also kind of this is maybe the moment we're going to look back if the Red Bulls does win it as the reason why the Red Bulls, well, or at least one of the reasons why the Red Bulls won this game. The post then denying Duncan and the Red Bulls the opener. I thought Duncan had a really good game. I think they mentioned many times in the commentating team that Duncan, he seems like he was just full of energy in this game. I mean, you can see even in extra time he is still running like it's almost the first minute of the game, and he almost become the hero here for the Red Bulls in the 111th minute, but the post denied him there. But I also kind of thought this game was really up for grabs because both of these teams was getting some good chances. Burke looked like he looked to score one from 5 yards out, but then Gutmann with a heroic last-ditch challenge to get that one away. There was at first a hit, maybe Gutmann kind of didn't get to the ball first and kind of took out Burke, and that could have potentially be a penalty. And they did, I think, for a momentarily check at VAR. Well, not the referee, that is, but they did, the VAR people that was in charge of this game, they did check to see whether or not if that was a potential penalty. It wasn't. And yeah, it looked like as the time winds down, this looked like it was going to go to a penalty kick shootout. But in the 123rd minute of the game, Jacob Glesnes, I mean, we've seen him do this before, and this is also why I said, in some way, he might be an unlikely source, and he might be one of the guy that I didn't think would be the guy that would score that crucial goal to get the victory for the Union, and basically with a moment of magic get the victory for the Union too. But I've seen him score some wonder goal this season before, and he just did it again. I mean, this was an absolute golazo from about 24 yards out. I even wrote goal of the playoffs candidate. I mean, I know there probably is no such thing as goal of the playoffs unless maybe MLS might come up with that, and whoever wins it, I guess they maybe give him awards. But that was just an absolute world class of a goal that Glesnes scored, and that's just kind of a goal that that's what I thought it all need to take in this game. I mean, in a game where it was kind of scrappy and both teams kind of wasn't really at their best in terms of finishing, who can come up with that one magical moment? And in the end, Jacob Glesnes was the guy to do it, and that would be enough for the Union to get the 1-0 win to move on into the next round of the playoffs. And the shots in this one, 13 shots compared to 11 that the Red Bulls had, only 3 shots on goal compared to just 1 that the Red Bulls had, 7 shots off target compared to 5 that the Red Bulls had, 3 shots that was blocked compared to 5 that the Red Bulls had, and possession-wise, 54% possession compared to 46% possession that the Union has. And I know for the Red Bulls, they'll just kind of say that, yeah, this is a very metro way to lose the game. I mean, I do feel bad for the Red Bulls, where I really think that they really gave their all in this game, and if they were maybe just a little bit better in terms of their finishing, maybe they could have moved on into the next round. But again, it just wasn't meant to be for them. And overall, I still think it's a good season considering the fact that they were heading into a rebuild this year, and at times I didn't even think that they were even going to make it to this stage, and the fact that they fought to the very end, and unfortunately, as it's been shown with the Red Bulls history, it always ends in a heartbreak. It ends in a heartbreak once again in this game. But for the Philadelphia Union, they'll definitely be happy to move on into the next round. And I'm not really going to say the fact that when a team doesn't play well, I should be really concerned when they play the next opponent, because in the playoffs, there's no such thing in terms of that. Like in the playoffs, it doesn't matter how pretty or how ugly it is. And in this game, this was probably one of the more uglier wins that the Union has ever had in terms of winning a playoff game. But in the end, they're just thankful that they are moving on into the next round. Though again, there's a lot of things that they need to change, and especially this attack in this front three. Yeah, they need to be sorted out, because they cannot look like this and expect to be maybe an MLS Cup contender. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this game? And again, I know this game might not be one of the best games we have ever seen in the playoffs, and I know some people would also say that this was probably the worst way for the playoffs to start this season. But for me, I actually did enjoy this game. I mean, yes, I know it was slow, but that was kind of what I expected. And with the way that there was a last minute goal in this one, I mean, anytime when there's a last minute goal, especially with this happening literally at the die moment of this game, it's always going to be a good playoff game. But let me know in the comments below if you think that way. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys see a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.